I have a friend on the 6th of March, but he's not here today, so just conscious of the date today as we rock on as well, already of course into race number 18 in our Superlights, with the change of program having our Pro Twins and 125s together, meaning we have our Superlight class nestled in on its own on our program. So Superlight Racing, love this class, always have done. Brought to us by Coleman Suzuki, still at K Road, still in the heart of the city, and still pleased to be supporting. And of course, buying online from the #1 Suzuki dealer as well, so you've got an opportunity. And of course, in Auckland, no excuse not to be a commuter on a motorcycle. Great city to be out there blasting past cars, getting through all the tight traffic and loving it on a commuting motorcycle. With Suzuki #1 for sales in New Zealand, and of course making a comprehensive range of great small bike and commuting models as we head out of Pepsi Max on this Superlight race update, and looking to peel straight into the corner there at the moment with the number 4, I thought it was, of Matt, but we'll get a better idea behind him. So going to page number 9 in your program, where we have the 125 GP, but as we've talked about, that's race with our Pro Rider Motorcycle Training and Coaching 650 Pro Twins. So watch for them all on their own. Gav Veltmeyer, Matt Hugenbosom, Jacob Stroud, of course, looking out for Jacob. Fantastic run from this young man. What a debut season on the big bike, thanks to Greg Percival and the No Hair Racing team. As we look out for our front runner, the number 4 there. Nice to see the update as we go through, and it was indeed Gav Veltmeyer. Thought it was Gav out in front, but just caught a glimpse of the number 4 on the bike. Put the wrong number, but we've got the right rider. So well done as Jacob moves up. Matt Hugenbosom going into 3rd. Of course, a lot of bad luck when we go right back to round number 1, Spider, and talk about Matt Hugenbosom. Went out in the scrub session on the Sunday morning. Very unlucky after he'd won the previous race, and of course on his home track and those South Island tracks, he would have surely been a far greater threat than he's proved to be. So I'd put him as probably our unluckiest rider of this year's championships. We know what he's done in 125. Great rider with a lot of potential, but unfortunately not to show it in the championship, but it's all on out the front. There he goes. Look at that.
Look at that. Jacob Stroud right round the outside, but doesn't quite make it fit there. Down into the dipper there. Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate. And the unfortunate thing is you roll the dice how you roll it. There was absolutely no fault of Matt Hugenbosom to have that big crash. Another machine had him behind him had a component failure and took him out. But the important thing was he was okay and back out at the next round. And we did hear through the grapevine that he had a couple of broken legs somewhere during the day. But no, he gets back up and goes out and does what the Hugenbosom parity does. And races out there in 3rd place. He just don't have the legs to get up there with the lead. But certainly the whole Hugenbosom family, we know they can be at the sharp end of the racing field, and certainly on the 125s, young Matt has spent plenty of time on the podium and the racing, so now it's great. But look at that battle at the front there, and Gavin Veltmeyer's got about 3 to 4 bike lengths, and Jacob Stroud just seemed to get the drive out of that Hamilton Asphalt's corner. They disappear out of sight, but it's all on like Donkey Kong. I don't even know what that means. I've just heard it on the internet or sort of written in a bus stop somewhere. But Veltmeyer's up on the inside now. We are racing for New Zealand Championship titles here. Jacob Stroud sits on 170 points. We've still got 75 points available over the day. 147 points for Gavin Veltmeyer. Sean Harris was leading the championship up to today. Of course, Sean was critically injured at Timaru a few weeks ago. He is on the mend. I have seen Sean a couple of times in the week. It's going to be a long week. He has a severe brain injury, but Sean Harris is sitting on 146 points. Matt Hugenbosom on 125, and Johnny Lewis on the 54 bike, 121. So side by side, going to go to the start finish line there, Neil.
Well, the sponsor of the series, of course, Coleman Suzuki, proud to be the employer extraordinaire for Gav Veltmeyer. Just a big well done to Gav for his performance out there, and what an all-round nice guy. GVR, of course, Gav Veltmeyer Racing, and Gavin, a great performance, young Jacob. Remembering, of course, that this is home track for Gav. You'd call it close enough to home track for Jacob as well, having moved around a few of the North Island circuits, but the closest one to his Hamilton home as we head out of Pepsi Max and look ready to come in down to this fabulous Porter Group dipper here at Hampton Downs, one of the all-round favourite corners of any road race track in the country. And look at that for Jacob. Fantastic watch. Jacob Stroud the advantage. Thought it was Jacob over on the Hamilton Asphalt's corner that had got the advantage, and now that he's in front, look at the streak that he's got. Of course, part of the track where Dad Andrew had a bad crash in practice here on Friday. Made an amazing recovery to come out and win the race yesterday. 220 kilometres an hour to skid off the end of the track and through the kitty litter, and 2 puffs of dust, one for the rider and one for the bike. A very damaged bike that was able to be repaired and back on the racetrack yesterday. So amazing to watch. Jacob Stroud on the No Hair Racing bike out in front. Gav Beltmeyer for the second place. Looking out for the third at the moment as we look to update there. And it is our number 4 of Matt Hugenbusen with Max Olsen and Rob Gibson. Seems to be, unfortunately, a few of the riders missing from our Coleman Suzuki program, so we can't give all that much credit. But to Matt Hugenbusen on the Nationwide Accessories, Race Supplies, Revit, Avon City Suzuki Triple R Superbike team. So well done to Matt closing the gap down. And I think this shows the Spider just how good Matt Hugenbusen, and this is not his home track, just comes here to race at our national championship level, and he's now managed to pull away from those others and get closer to the leading two.
Yeah, certainly, and it's on a borrowed bike, so his own bike wasn't quite ready for the season. They almost got it ready this week, so it isn't a borrowed bike. I think it's Andrew Rudd's bike, Andrew Rudd. So he's on a Honda instead of a Suzuki. It's still one of these 600s. In fact, most of the bikes, if not all of them out there, are these 600cc machines where they've disabled a cylinder. I think they just leave the piston and rod in there and just pull the valves out and put some silicon in there and disable the fuel injection and turn them into a beautiful sounding 450cc bike. We've got Jacob Stroud there out in the front on the Yamaha. Oh, okay, I have to point out that that's a V-twin SV650 in second place, but pretty well all the other ones. We've got Honda, we've got Suzuki, and all sorts of bikes out there. And just a different sound. Johnny Lewis on the 54 machine is also on one of these bikes. It's had a few things chopped around on it, and oh, wonderful sounding bike. Of course, the bike that Jacob is on is Greg Percival, the New Zealand Road Race Commissioner. This is one that Avalon Biddle won this class on last year, so he's got the goods under him in terms of bike, and for a young fella, well, I was going to say relatively new to the sport. Yes, in terms of turning tyres, he's relatively new. He's been doing it for about 2 or 3 years, but he's been at race betting since he was a few days old almost, with father and Andrew Stout, and mother, of course, Karen, and spent a lot of time in the commentary box, so he's got his racecraft from maybe sitting up here with the commentators and maybe all these long trips talking to Dad, but and doing a double class today with the 250cc class. So Jacob Stroud is on fire. Will he win the New Zealand Superbike title in the Superlight class? It won't happen in this race unless something dramatic happens with Gavin Beltmeyer maybe, because we've got 75 points up available today so far, and we've got a gap of 23 points. So later on today, Neil Ritchie.
Yes, indeed. Want to do a mention for Johnny Lewis at the moment. Now, Johnny, a young Nelson rider, who we've seen a lot of on the street racing in the South Island, a few of the South Island tracks. My memory thinks this is maybe his first time, if not only his second time here at Hampton Downs. So the young Nelson man putting in a class performance, and more importantly, another class ride, and he too, of course, with the 600 missing one down to a 450, as this bike has proved oh so popular with many of our Superlight riders. Coleman Suzuki, still New Zealand's #1 Suzuki dealer. Proud to be behind Superlight Racing here today as we look out for the Jacob Stroud show. Gav Beltmeyer on his own, looking at that third place now with Matt Hugenbusen. Pressure on from the next two, and then looking at this good bout better where I've been with Johnny, and look, Johnny having to do the hard work then now, tucks down on the inside. I tell you what, it might be a race at the back of the field, but that is a classic, and he's got local man, of course, high-flying Nigel Lennox to race with there. So there's a little bit of track knowledge, and Nigel as well enjoying the opportunity to race in a number of our street meetings, and we've picked up on the white flag over here, so one to go for the Coleman Suzuki. By and large, the #1 Suzuki dealer in NZ, Coleman Suzuki, sponsoring our Superlights, and it is the Jacob Stroud show. Spider, I think that's fair to know that we've seen the talent of Jacob Stroud coming through, but the commanding performance which he's executed through this championship must be congratulated, because he's certainly stamped with authority in a very short time on a motorcycle. That man's heading in a very positive direction with these commanding wins he's taken.
Oh yeah, it's such a shame we don't have Sean Harris here to make the man a little bit more honest, because Sean always enjoyed racing against Jacob, and Jacob always enjoyed, he didn't mind if he was second place behind Sean because of the character and the abilities of Sean, but right now he's been relatively dominant. We're looking at the list of what's going on there, and 3 wins out of 3 starts for Jacob in the last 3 Superbike Championship races. He's got some 20 points, which is second. He's got 1, 2, 3 of those, and been down as far as 11th and that and 13th, and after some bad qualifying. There he is. Jacob Stroud takes the win, the checkered flag here for the first of the Superlight races. Good ride there for Gavin Veltmeyer in second place. He kept them on us for a long, long time, but...
Hubie's biting just to go in. I'll tell you what, that's a very lucky Matt Hugenboosem there, because while you were looking at the battle for those two, Matt Hugenboosem overshot on the barrel roll here and came right out to the white line apex and then had to right angle it and go. But he had the drive and the speed to get down the straight, and he overtook back on the inside of Meadowman. So on the last lap, I'm sure coming down to there, he thought, uh-oh, this is not going to be third place. So great recovery by Matt Hugenboosem.